Good morning.
Hello, how are you?
Happy Tuesday.
Happy
We're
Tuesday.
back with you again.
Bright, sunny Topeka.
Sunny and 75.
Yes.
You know what? It's January. This is to be expected.
Up and down. What can you do?
It is no brighter right now than it was at 5 a.m., I don't feel like.
No. At least there's no snow on the ground.
That's exactly right.
Today.
We are supposed to warm up this week, so we're
Yes.
excited about that.
Yes.
Super Bowl this weekend.
Super Bowl this weekend.
Go Chiefs.
Yay.
All right, guys. Well, as you know, I'm Kelli Higgins. I'm with Darin Stevens today. We try to come to you every week, Tuesday at 10 a.m., and talk about all things real estate, different items through the transaction that you might need more information or help with, and just general information about real estate here in the Topeka area. If you guys aren't in this area, feel free to drop us a comment and let us know where you are.
Yeah.
We're excited to be here.
Absolutely. And if there's any topics that you'd like us to cover, please don't hesitate. Let us know. We're happy to cover anything that you might find of value with buying or selling or home ownership. Anything that we can do to help, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, this whole video series is really about you as the buyer and seller. So feel free to interact with us. Drop us a comment. If you like what we're saying or if you have questions about what we're talking about, leave a comment. Let us know what your questions are. If you want more information about buying and selling, feel free to either leave a comment, or if you're a little bit more private, feel free to also send us a message. We're always responding to those. We try to get back to you very quickly.
Absolutely.
So we are Stone & Story Real Estate Group. We are here at the Keller Williams One Legacy Partners office today.
Yes.
And we are going to be talking to you about appraisals. Now, 2 weeks ago, we were with you and talking about appraisals from the seller perspective. And today, we're going to be talking about the appraisal process from the buyer's perspective, how it can affect your transaction, and some things to keep in mind while going through a buy of a home with appraisals in the back of your mind.
Yeah. So when you think about writing an offer, there's multiple things that go into it, and we've talked about inspections, and we've talked about things that you can ask for and shouldn't ask for potentially. One of the things that may come up is closing costs. So if you're on the seller side, you may have a buyer that comes to you and asks for you to pay a certain percentage of closing costs. And so there's varied ranges. If it's a conventional loan, there's 3%. If it's a VA loan, it's 4% they can ask for. And if it's an FHA loan, up to 6%.
Yeah.
So,
and for the sake of conversation, let's try to keep it easy. Let's just kind of think of it as, $200,000 home with $5,000 in closing costs.
Yep.
Let's just kind of go with that for today, and just so we can kind of talk a little bit about numbers and maybe how the appraisal could affect your buying based off of those numbers. When you're writing an offer, again, and you ask for $5,000 in closing costs, that's pretty standard, really. The one thing, though, when we write offers with that in mind, in this kind of a seller's market, it's very competitive. Mm-hmm. So typically, we've been seeing people making offers of asking price or maybe even potentially above asking price. And a lot of sellers right now in this kind of market are really pushing the market to see if they can get a little bit more and a little bit more for their house.
Yep.
And we're starting to see the market and appraisers push back on us a little bit and say, no, this house really isn't worth that much. And that's when we're starting to see the issues arrive when it comes to asking for that closing cost and still pushing the market to see if the home is really worth that.
Yep. So it's definitely an issue that you're going to have to cover off if you're on the seller side. The house just may not appraise. And so then you've committed to $5,000 in closing costs to the buyer, and the buyer is expecting $5,000 in order to be able to close the transaction. So it will have to be a conversation that if it doesn't appraise, that's what we're here for initially, because there are things that as realtors we can do to work with the appraiser to see if maybe there's some additional comps or there's something that they didn't take into account when they did the appraisal.
Yep.
That will help push that number up and satisfy everybody's needs.
Yep.
So if the house doesn't appraise first time out, that's not the end of the world, and that doesn't mean that that's going to be the final appraisal price.
Yeah.
So it can change.
As a buyer, though, when you get that news back, it can be really detrimental. It can be really emotional too. So that's also why we're here, because we are the professionals. We're here to kind of help you through the process. So let's say you've made an offer on a $200,000 house. As your agent, if we are going into this transaction already concerned about if the house is going to appraise, we will have that conversation with you up front when we are making the offer. We will let you know that we might feel like the house might not be worth that much. Maybe we only feel like it's worth 185 or even 190. That is something that we will have a conversation with you up front.
Yep.
It is our job to also run comps on the property that you're interested in making an offer on up front as well. So that way we actually have facts to back up how much we are offering.
Yep.
So if the house does not come back at appraisal, let's say it comes back at 190, what then?
So that's where then we work with the appraiser, we work with the listing agent if we happen to be on the buyer side, and see if there's additional things, like I said, that we can offer up that will push that appraisal price to the right price. There may be something that the appraiser doesn't know, or the appraiser may have just missed. They're human, so they're looking at a multitude of factors, and so that's where we'll come in and do that. If we find that the appraiser says the additional information you provided me, it does not support the additional price that we need to come down, then we'll have to go back and renegotiate with the seller to determine if they're willing to accept the lower appraisal price. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
So.
And if you're asking for $5,000 in closing costs, you need to be aware that that is something that would also be up for negotiation. The seller could say, I'll come down to the 190, but I'm not going to pay the $5,000 in closing costs. Yep. So those are the conversations you need to be having with your agent when you're writing the offer. And so that way you're also prepared for that news if it were to ever come down to it.
Yeah. And, these things happen.
Yes.
So as I said earlier, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that the house deal can't go through, but it will take some additional work for us to figure out how do we bring it together for everybody and keep the house in the play for you to buy.
Okay, so question, Darin.
Okay.
Let's say it doesn't pan out. Let's say we can't negotiate a deal back together. What happens to my earnest money?
So the earnest money would come back to you as the buyer because it's not your, the house didn't appraise. Okay. So that, therefore, it falls back to the loan contingency clause in that you can't get a loan for the house. So therefore, it negates the contract and the earnest money is returned to the buyer.
And that really does work for you as a buyer because it does encourage the seller to really consider either lowering the price to the appraisal, because there are some issues when it comes, if you have an FHA loan and you have an appraisal that does not meet the price that you've agreed on, that FHA appraisal does follow the house. It doesn't just go away. So the seller needs to know that if they were to get another offer that's an FHA, they have to continue with that appraisal they already got. So there's a lot of things that can really go into play when you're looking at appraisals, especially from a buyer's perspective. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to our transactions and our contracts. So that's why it's so important to work with a professional. It's important to work with a realtor that has lots of experience and knows what they're doing and that are just bulldogs when it comes to negotiating for you.
Yep. And that also applies to VA loans as well. The appraisal does stay with the VA loans as well. So certainly lots to think about, but that's what we're here for, to help walk you through it, demystify some of the things that maybe you had in the back of your mind and or somebody else told you. Please don't listen.
Good morning, Kara.
Please don't listen to others. Listen to your agent. They are the best person to guide you and partner with you to help get you through the transaction.
Yeah. So, we're excited to help you guys too. So, all right. So we would love to know your guys's, hi, Kara. We would love to know some topics that you guys would like for us to cover in the future. Some items that we kind of have in the works is potentially talking with Brian about doing some staging to get your house ready to sell. Some of the other options that we have are things to look at when you're looking to buy your house in the spring. You know, a lot of people think, I'm just going to wait till spring, but in reality, you have a lot more competition to work against. So some of the things to kind of keep in mind as you're going into that spring housing market.
Yep.
Some curb appeal ideas. We can even talk a little bit about title and title insurance and what that has to do with real estate, like why you would even need that.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Kara asks, what does your board in the background? Oh, that is the language of real estate that we have here at Keller Williams. Right now we are located in our team leader's office, so that's all his numbers. We're hoping to have our new design center done in April, so we'll probably start doing our lives from there in the future. So we're excited about that.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Enjoy
your week. If you're a Super Bowl fan, definitely looks like lots of excitement going on towards that. So good luck.
Thanks, guys. I'm Kelli Higgins. This is Darin Stevens. We are with the Stone & Story Real Estate Group here at Keller Williams One Legacy Partners. Don't forget that you can hit the subscribe button to be notified every time we go live, so that way you guys never miss a show. So we hope you guys do that. All right, have a great Tuesday.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.